to infinity and beyond.
This is me. This is how I win.
Were you rushing or were you dragging? Answer!
You're a wizard, Harry.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you.
No, I am your father.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back inside the film room. Zach Owens here with Johnny Sobchak. Johnny, how are you, sir?
Hey, Zach. Hello, everyone that's listening. Thank you for tuning in. I'm doing well. It's been a, somewhat hectic last week in more ways than one. But I'm excited to settle into the show, and we have some fun stuff to talk about today. So I'm excited. How you doing?
Decompress by talking about your favorite topic of movies.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what we're here for, man. For us to get it out there and for the listeners to settle in too. So hopefully as you're listening to this on a Monday morning, we'll kick your week off the right way. We've got a great episode today. We're switching it up. This is not a movie review. We're taking a play out of the Ringer playbook, The Big Picture. Shout out to that podcast hosted by Sean Finnessy and Amanda Dobbins. They've been doing, in this kind of downtime, a movie draft for each year. So I think they've done 2012 and 13, or maybe 11 and 12 so far. But we're switching it up and going 2014. So that's the meat of the episode today. We're going to go through a list of genres and we'll each draft some movies and we'll let you decide who has the best draft.
I'm excited.
But as always, before that, we've got some news to go through. But as always, before that, what's going on, Johnny?
Just SNL, came back last night.
I have not watched it. I've just heard your reviews of it, so I need the breakdown from you.
So I'm gonna keep it brief because I don't think anyone wants to hear me just trash SNL. But I had it on. I was writing an article for the website. It's going up, and I'm really excited for everyone to check out.
Go ahead, plug it.
Yeah, we're doing a spooky season guide for you guys. I went through.
This was inspired by your shout out to Reagan from last episode, talking about your own guide that you've been doing.
Yeah, for those of you who listened last time or didn't hear it, my girlfriend and I, we put together
There we go. There it is. Had to get it in there.
A list of movies and TV shows that were spooky or horror related or Halloween themed that we wanted to knock out in September and October. And so I thought it'd be cool to look at some streaming services and find a few movies and little shows, miniseries that you guys might enjoy. And just give some thoughts on those. So I'm looking forward
I will say I've read this guide and it's very there are some obvious choices there, but for the most part, they're kind of under the radar picks, I would say, which is nice that it's not okay, go watch Halloween, go watch Friday the 13th. These aren't just the ones that every single person tells you to the basic stuff, So I think that Johnny's done a nice job of throwing something new towards you because there were a couple that I'd never even heard of that I want to check out.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried to go for an eclectic group and something where there's some stuff that you may have not even heard of before, or maybe older stuff or things that just have been, like you said, flying under the radar. But while I was writing that, I had Saturday Night Live on in the background, and it was just what you would expect. I mean, they've been off for months now, and they have a lot of political stuff to do as always, but now that we're in the heat of the election and all the stuff with Trump having COVID-19 and Jim Carrey's playing Joe Biden and Maya Rudolph's playing Kamala Harris, it's just a lot, and they have a strong group of new people that they are incorporating to the cast, and and Chris Rock was hosting, and it just seemed like everyone was like really nervous or rusty, and the material was just very kind of lowbrow or not very clever. Including one bit where it was the very first like real skit of the show, and it was just them like messing with people's names, like making fun of people's names, and like coming up with very like just it's just like middle school, like 15-year-old like humor. I don't know. It was fine for like having on like some mindless stuff, but some of it was just incredibly cringe. And Megan Thee Stallion saved the day a little bit with her musical performance. She was actually in a couple of the skits too, and she was very funny. Like she was a decent actor. So I'd be curious to see if she shows up in any other movies or shows or things like that in the next year or two as she kind of really gets her career popping. But yeah, it was not anything I would recommend for anyone to go check out.
That was always like I don't think I've ever actually like watched the show live, but like that was in college. I would always like Sunday morning, like as I'm having my coffee and just like chilling, watch like the YouTube sketch, like all the best ones on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that urge this morning as I was getting ready.
No, when I was in high school, early high school, like freshman year, I watched it every week religiously. Me and my friends, we would watch it, and it was just always a lot of fun. It was just something we could do on a Saturday night. You know, you're in high school, and we didn't have our driver's license yet or anything like that. We could just sit around and have fun. But that was when it was kind of in its prime, and this is like 2011. And you know, you had people like Andy Samberg, Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, who are all big stars now. They're making movies and doing their own stuff. And Bill Hader, and it's just kind of a bummer to see. You know, I think it has its ebbs and flows, and not just from week to week, but, you know, season to season over the decades because it's been around so long. So hopefully they'll get back in the swing of things. If not soon, then hopefully before it might get canceled or something. But I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine a world without SNL. It'd be like imagining
I feel like
The
it's
Simpsons
just like
getting
one of those,
canceled or something.
Yeah, one of those that's just like a mainstay that'll always be around. Like, and I feel like also just like the whole like you mentioned the Trump and COVID stuff, like that happened late Thursday night. So like I assume that pretty much anything that they had planned,
they were
like
throwing
went
stuff
out the
together.
window. Like
Yeah,
they had to audible pretty heavily there. But
yeah.
I mean, it's a miracle that Kate McKinnon and
How is she
Keenan are
still
still
on
on.
the show?
Both
And
of them
Kenan
have been on there
Thompson,
for so long.
I when I tuned in and I watched from the very beginning, and I saw the intro with all the cast members. I was shook, like when I saw their names come up. I couldn't believe that they're still, you know, full time. And even Pete Davidson, who's been, you know, he starred in The King of Staten Island over the summer, which is a VOD release that was just received fairly well. And of course, he's going to be in the Suicide Squad next year. And I don't know. I am curious to see how, you know, what the time that he has remaining, you know, if he might, you know, jump ship even quicker than someone like, you know, Kate McKinnon or Kenan Thompson. But yeah, we'll see. It's weird.
Well, that's been SNL talk. I think that's about enough of that. Other than that, though, recording on a Sunday night, so we've got the football weekend update.
Mm-hmm.
Great weekend all around for the podcast. You know, Carolina football got their win on Saturday against Boston College. The Carolina Panthers got their win. Johnny's Minnesota Vikings got their win. So really positive football vibes this weekend.
Yeah. Arsenal won their Premier League matchup today against Sheffield United. It was looking a little scary there for a while, but they pulled it out. So there's a lot of sports stuff going on, and it's fun, you know, for us who have been more into sports than, you know, maybe some other people who are just so into movies. You played football at Carolina. I played sports growing up. And I've always been a fan. I've definitely put sports more on the back burner in the last few years as I've gotten more and more into movies and writing and things like that. But I can't. The fan will always be in me. I'll always try to tune in, and I can't help but be invested to some extent. But I think I've gotten to the point where if things are bad or we just aren't good, and you know people get injured and things like that, I just don't care. I just
check out. Yeah.
I check out. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not affecting my life really at the end of the day. So, but it's fun when they win for sure.
Yeah, and this weekend was definitely fun. So that was a good time. The Heels made it interesting. Got up big and then kind of in classic UNC fashion. And I can say that because I did it for 4 years. I experienced it firsthand. Let the team back into the game, but I will say that's a positive thing that previously this would happen. They would let the team back in and then lose.
They take the L.
But now it seems that they've been able to decide to close out these close games. So
yeah,
that's
good sign.
Positive moving forward. But another good football weekend. But other than that, before we get too deep, you already plugged your spooky season guide, so I'm going to plug something else on the website. The Haunting of Bly Manor comes out Friday on Netflix. Embargo lifted this morning, as in Monday morning, that you all are listening to this. So go check out on the website our review of that. It'll be spoiler-free, so don't worry. We're not going to ruin the show 5 days before you get to actually watch it. But very good. I'll give a little tease here. Really liked it. I don't know if I liked it. Like, I loved Hill House, and I very much enjoyed this one. I would say I loved this one too. But I don't know if I loved it as much as Hill House. Because Hill House, as you know, Johnny, was just so good.
It was great.
It was a great, like, I don't know if you consider it a mini series since it was just one season or what, but it's I would say not as scary. Like, I thought at times Hill House is like flat out terrifying, but this is more of like, it dives into like psychology and emotional trauma, which there's plenty of that in Hill House. But
yeah,
like I said, for the full breakdown, go to the website, insidefilmroom.com, check that out. And then on Friday, when the show releases, we will have episode by episode recaps, so you can dive into everything as you watch as well. So a lot of Bly Manor content coming to the website and to you all as the show comes out this week. Spooky season is in full swing.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad that you loved it. I wasn't terribly nervous about how quality it would be, just because it's a lot of the same people returning. Mike Flanagan, writing, directing, producing, things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, the Haunting of Hill House I never felt terror while watching that, and even a lot of the scarier moments, I was kind of like, I never had to like cover my eyes or look through my fingers or anything, which is, I think, when I'm at the peak of fear, that's where I go to. But there are definitely some very creepy moments and disturbing images, and the scariest part for me was a jump scare, which I think everyone knows what I'm talking about towards the end of the season.
I'm a big I don't do fingers through or eyes through the fingers. I'm just like a face squeezer. Like, I just grab my cheeks and like pinch them in. But I have like a vivid memory of, I guess it was junior year of college when Hill House came out, and I like had downloaded 2 episodes onto my iPad because I was like all into it, but we were playing at UVA. And so like I was watching it like on the bus, and it was raining outside, and I was just like in the dark, like curled up in the corner of my bus seat, watching it on my iPad. And I was like whimpering and trying to like play it cool.
Funny.
But yeah, very good. Big fan. So should we change directions here and get into some news of this past week?
Yeah, let's do it. Some sad news.
Very somber news to get us started. The last domino has fallen, and I think it's poetic in a way. The first one to fall is also the last one to fall again. That No Time to Die, James Bond 25, has been delayed until April 2021. Wow. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no easy way to you can't make that too rosy.
Because of the fallout, the effect of what this has. Like, obviously, we're not just talking about being sad we won't see James Bond in November, but instead in April. But as a result, like, that was the hopeful movie that was going to like jumpstart everything to bring.
Theaters were really counting on James Bond.
Right, that was going to be the next big one, but now
local theater that I have just a 5-minute drive from me, which I don't go to. It's a more local chain. but they said on their website, in our state, theaters are starting to open as of this past weekend, and we'll see how long that whole plan lasts, because on their website it said something along the lines of, we're not opening back just because it's legal now. We're waiting, and I think they even mentioned No Time to Die. So, for smaller chains especially, that might be, a more compromising situation financially. And it just sucks. I mean, not to mention this movie was originally supposed to come out in November of last year, 2019. The fact that we may now be getting it in April 2021. I mean, at some point, I know how expensive these movies are, and I know the marketing campaigns that go into them, and all the costs of that, and you want to go full theatrical and you want full attendance and everything. But I mean, by April, we're not going to have full theater attendance. We're not going to have maskless attendance. We're not going to have any of that. I mean, the pandemic's still going to be going on, like it or not, vaccine or not. There's still going to be chance of sickness. There'll still be people catching it. So I don't know. Part of me thinks that they should just kind of bite the bullet and drop it in November, and then maybe work out some sort of VOD deal where they have a shortened window, or make, come up with some sort of release plan where it's not fully reliant on theaters for them to make their money and for it to be a success, like as a film, for the studios and people who made it, but while also giving a lifeline to theaters that need money coming in, and are counting on big movies like this. Because now, as you said, there is going to be some sort of effect, no doubt, not just for theaters, but potentially other studios, other big movies that are on the horizon. Now that No Time to Die is out of the way, Soul is still scheduled for a theatrical release from Disney.
Not gonna happen.
I would assume that's going to change very, very soon, potentially.
I mean, especially just because the fact that it is a animated Pixar movie, and Disney has this massive platform to put an animated movie on and have tons of children and families buy it.
Mm-hmm. And
it's right there.
Right after that, of course, we have Dune, December 18th. We have Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas Day. And I think in that latter half of December as well, it's more busy. There's Free Guy from what used to be Foxx. So that's a hangover that Disney is going to basically be taking care of. Death on the Nile, another similar situation. So I don't know. Is there any chance that these movies stick in December, do you think?
I would, if I had to bet, I feel like it's just going to be another like domino effect of like one moves and then it's like, okay, well the rest are done. Because like you said, like it'll still be like in April, even if this were to like go away, the virus were to like start to get better, people are like anticipating like, I don't know, change this to like a music festival. Like they're not expecting people to come back in full force until like 2023 is what I'm reading. Like, or like a live sporting event with like a packed stadium or movie theaters. Just like even if things are better, there's still going to be like public resistance or hesitance to like just go back to the old normal. Like,
yeah.
So
no, it's not going to be everyone going back at once.
Right. But I agree with you on like some sort of like half and half release theaters and VOD or something like that to, because I mean, otherwise we're just gonna like have 1 year that has like a ton of movies in it, or which wouldn't be a bad thing, but or you're gonna just like move everything back.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing for us as consumers, but I mean,
for these studios, it would be. Yeah,
I mean, these movies. I mean, already look at the schedule for 2021 from starting in April now with Bond through to December, through the whole rest of the year. I mean, there's not a 2-week span for the entire year where there isn't a tentpole coming out from any given studio, sometimes multiple studios, or the same studio. So I don't understand how you could possibly expect any of these movies to make money, how these studios could expect to make a profit when they're literally like cannibalizing each other. This is an issue that is going to, we're going to be feeling the effects of this for years. Like not just next year, not just 2022, but as you said, attendance being an issue going into 2023, production schedules getting pushed. It's bad. It's really bad. It's worse than I think we ever expected, even, talking about this back in the spring and over the summer. You try to remain optimistic, and you hope that everyone's going to be able to, work it out together and come up with a cohesive plan that everyone can kind of rely on. But I don't know, lots of different components to think about, lots of different people with skin in the game. So we'll see. I'm nervous. I'm like, I hope that these movies do well. I hope that the people who make them are making them for, to fail basically. And that, consumers get to see them in a safe manner, in a manner that they want to, whether that's at the theater or at home. And that theaters, because I love going to the movies, have some sort of out where they are going to be around and their employees are going to be taken care of. So it's just so much to do. It's hard to even talk about because there's just so much to it. But overall,
right, and it's still all speculation.
It's a very gloomy situation.
Literally, we all love movies, but we have no idea what's actually going to happen. We don't know how anything's going to play out here. It's so much speculation.
It's unprecedented. So there's no blueprint to look at or similar scenario to look. I don't think AMC wasn't worried about the situation in 1918. You know what I mean? So yeah.
You mentioned Wonder Woman 1984. Man, this was originally supposed to be that episode. October 2nd. October 2nd release date. I just realized that as I looked at the schedule over here, but we are not talking about that today. We are talking about how it is continuously moving. But get to some positive news. Maybe this is positive news, but something that is at least coming out is October 23rd, Amazon Prime. Put it in your calendar. Borat subsequent movie film. Let me get the full name up. Let me see if I can find it. Borat subsequent movie film delivery of prodigious bribe to American regime for make benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan.
Absolutely love it. Pitch perfect.
That's about the same as Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Of one Harley Quinn. So.
Excuse me. So I have to ask. Obviously, this is the follow-up to the 2006 Borat movie, the hidden camera gag pranks from Sacha Baron Cohen. I have not ever seen from start to finish that original Borat. I've seen bits and pieces, different clips, but I've never watched it all the way through. I think I watched Bruno when that came out, which was kind of similar, but
not nearly as good.
Right. Do you have a connection to Borat? Does this get you excited?
I actually do.
We're 14 years later. Is this something that you wanted?
I actually do have a connection. This was obviously in 2006. I was 9 for most of the year. My birthday's next month. So I was not driving myself to the theater to see this movie or going with my parents or anything. But my brother, who was 18 at the time, he took me to see Borat.
As a 9-year-old?
Without my mom's knowledge, of course. And this was one of the first rated R movies that I ever saw in a movie theater. It was the second one, I think, behind Jackass 2, which also came out in 2006, I believe. So I remember this distinctly. I remember being kind of really freaked out by a lot of the nudity and the language and just a lot of the inappropriate stuff that goes down in this movie. I was not scarred, thankfully. I do remember it in a somewhat fond way. It was just a lot. I remember a lot of people laughing and just everyone thinking it was really funny. So I know now. It should be new to Amazon Prime Video, I believe. You can watch the original Borat on Prime Video now if you have a subscription. And I'm definitely going to revisit that at some point this month before this new one comes out. And from what I've heard, it's supposed to be good. I think this is going to be good. So I'm hoping that it's worth a while. I'll check it out just because it's a new movie. And I do, like I said, like the original, I have that connection. But I have not seen it in a long time. So it will be worthwhile to check it out again, I think.
This is something that we've seen over and over again. This is obviously Sacha Baron Cohen is in Trial of the Chicago 7, which is coming out soon and is like an incredible movie and like a prestige film, and he's a great actor. But also like this is like his other thing that he does. Like it's like the hidden gag of whether it's Borat or Bruno or the movie The Dictator, which was kind of the same thing. And then he has this show, the Who is America, where he kind of just convinces like conservative politicians or MAGA people to like basically expose themselves on camera. So that's like something that he is very good at. And I think that that's what's most intriguing about this is that like obviously 14 years later, everyone knows who Borat is. Like they recognize him. So he can't just be out doing his thing like and not just have people. There's a clip in the trailer of him like someone's coming up. It's like, oh, it's Borat. And he like runs away from it basically.
Yeah.
So it's like this was one of the first movies to start like resume, I guess, production after the COVID shutdown. They wanted to get it out before the election. Mike Pence is involved because they go to one of his rallies. But what I'm getting at is that like with everyone recognizing him, he's kind of had to go to extreme measures of hiding himself, whether it's putting a paper bag on his head or dressing up as Donald Trump or like going in disguise even more so. He's like he's in disguise as a character who is then in disguise as someone else.
Yeah.
It's like the Tropic Thunder. I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude.
Yeah. It is weird to think of it in that way because you can tell even in the trailer, as you said. The one thing that I am not necessarily even just curious about, but kind of excited in a like messed up way is that whenever he does these things, he puts himself into precarious situations, socially and like with regards to his bodily safety and things like that. Whether it's the places he's in or the people he's with. And apparently Deadline was reporting when the press release came out for this, is that he had to wear body armor, a bulletproof vest on 2 separate shooting occasions. And there are multiple, I guess, times when they were shooting where he was like, they were worried that he would get hurt or killed or something. So I'll be curious to see if we can see him wearing that at any point, or like what situations he's possibly in where that's going to be an issue. But no, it's wild.
I mean, when you see the trailer and he's going to these like Trump rallies or like alt-right, far-right rallies and like just like put the situations he's putting himself in, like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to be doing that. And like, especially if you're going there as a person to, you're like, your purpose is to antagonize people to get that reaction for the camera. Like that is extremely dangerous.
For sure. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, not like crazy excited. But it's a fun concept. And I think everyone likes Sacha Baron Cohen and thinks he's funny. And, he's a great actor. So I'm glad to see him get this big deal, through Amazon. And, it pays off, I guess, what they did. They were able to make this production happen in secret.
I'm reading an article right now actually about like putting himself in danger and stuff. And it's talking about in the 2018 series that I mentioned, the Who is America. It says Baron Cohen revealed he discovered what he believed may have been a pedophile ring while filming under the guise of Italian playboy Gio Monaldo for a skit in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he said like he was finishing an interview and tried to see if they could like set him up with like a boy younger, lower than bar mitzvah but older than 8. And they were like, so this is just like the extremes of like what he gets himself into, which is hilarious and fun to watch. But like, if I was the one doing it, that would be terrifying. Yeah.
Praise to Sacha.
But that'll at least give us something to review in that a couple weeks from now. We'll do maybe I'll check out the first one to get a framework before we get started with that.
That'd be good. And that's, thankfully, that's not going to be the only thing coming up that we may be able to review together.
That's true.
Shockingly, in a sudden turn of events, the Warner Brothers film The Witches, which is a remake / new adaptation of the Roald Dahl book, was originally slated to come out this fall, and was delayed, in the middle of the COVID situation, was delayed until 2021. And then suddenly last week, one morning, they were like, hey, this movie is coming out this month and it's going to be on HBO Max for free. This new Robert Zemeckis film, a lot of people associate him with, of course, with Back to the Future, Forrest Gump. Who Framed Roger Rabbit. His career's taken a weird trajectory. I think a lot of people would agree. But I was surprised to see this news. And then right after the news came out, of course, we also got a first bit of footage. And this is going to be available to stream on HBO Max on October 22nd. And apparently they're going to do some sort of theatrical. Is that true?
I think it's a couple weeks later in international markets,
okay,
not in
gotcha.
the U.S.
Not in the U.S. at all. So this is another case of studios creating basically a hybrid model. HBO Max domestic in the United States, and then internationally a week or two later they're going to try and put it in theaters. And then I would assume at some point when HBO Max is international, they're going to have it on there as well. But yeah, what do you make of this? What do you think of the footage?
Okay, so I thought that they came out with like a little teaser on on Twitter that was like completely subtitled, which I thought was weird for a teaser.
Yeah.
But I was very turned off by that. That was maybe like a minute. I did not like that whatsoever. But then, and I thought that was the trailer. But as I was preparing for this, I saw that there was like a full 2-minute trailer. Yeah. And that was much more appealing. I think that was much like basically the teaser was all about like, here's Anne Hathaway in this ridiculous accent. But now the trailer kind of set it up a little bit more. I mean, you've got Anne Hathaway, Octavia Spencer, Stanley Tucci, Chris Rock, like pretty solid cast there. I feel like I probably read this book. I read a bunch of the Roald Dahl books as a child. But I mean, again, HBO Max, new release. I'll check it out. I'm a big Anne Hathaway fan. I think she has been in a slump recently, especially after last year's The Hustle. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. She deserves better. She's just out here cashing checks, though, so I can't blame her. But hopefully this is like
she needs
something that helps her get back on track. But I mean, that accent isn't helping much, so we'll see.
She's eating it up.
We'll see. But I do want to point out, you said this comes out the 22nd. Borat 2 is the 23rd, and then also on the 23rd is On the Rocks, the Sofia Coppola A24 movie. So that's going to be a busy. We'll have to do a triple header that weekend.
Header review.
That's going to be a busy weekend.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to that. Just having new movies and something that's with people we know by people that we have heard of before. So that should be interesting. Yeah, I agree. I need to see the full trailer. I saw the teaser you're referring to on social media. Doesn't look great. The cast is stacked, as you pointed out, and I do like Anne Hathaway a lot, but I don't know. It's Robert Zemeckis. I feel like it's a situation where the ambition is not equal to the talent. In the respect that I feel like he could be making really awesome, great movies, and he kind of chooses to do like weird, like that Marwen movie with Steve Carell.
Welcome to I did not see that. I would
never watch it.
I wanted to just because I was like, Steve Carell, I love him. And then I was like, oh, this is awful. This has terrible reviews. No, thank you. And then it kind of became like a running gag in the movie world.
It was a meme. Don't let your movie be a meme, people. Let it be a movie first and foremost, and then if there are memes out of that, that can be good. But
you know what else had memes though?
Let's hear
Jamie Foxx as Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Just awful.
But he's getting a shot at redemption in Spider-Man 3, the upcoming Tom Holland sequel. He will be returning. Jamie Foxx confirmed this on his Instagram as his character, the villain Electro, like we mentioned, from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, back with Andrew Garfield. So this is just another hint that some sort of live action multiverse is on its way. We already have J. Jonah Jameson from the original Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi trilogy. Now we're getting something from the...
Okay, here's the thing, though.
What's the thing?
J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons' character, the one that we saw at the end of Far From Home. That's not the same one, right?
Right. But the fact that they did the same actor. But it makes me think of like, okay, well, this is like their alternate Earths or whatever, alternate dimensions, all of that stuff. So it's like, obviously they're the same people or like similar people. Like there are multiple Peter Parkers, there are multiple J. Jonah Jamesons. So this is just like a different iteration of him. And they happen to, I mean, he's so iconic as that character. So they did that. But
I'm
I think,
so curious to see what this movie's like, man, because we don't know anything about it really.
Right. I know there have been like the hints of like the Sinister Six being put together, saying that Electro could be part of that.
I can see that for sure.
I mean, I think first of all, Jamie Foxx wanted to clear up the fact that he says that he will not be blue in this upcoming movie.
I think we can all agree that's a plus.
I was not as big of a hater for the Amazing Spider-Man movies as most people have been.
Were you not a big of a hater, or did you love them?
I enjoyed them. Like I think I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but my Spider-Man ranking has always been I have my Peter Parker Spider-Man ranking, not the actual franchises.
Okay.
Has always been Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. Like I was a big Andrew Garfield guy. I thought he was really good. I love Emma Stone just in general, so I thought she was very good as Gwen Stacy. The movies themselves, I thought the first one was good. Second one not as great, but I didn't think they were bad. I didn't have any issues with them as most people seem to. So
that's interesting. No, I think Andrew Garfield was fine. I just feel bad that he wasn't given better material. I feel like under like a better director, better writer. Like, can you imagine? This would be a total mismatch, but just for example, because at the same time that little interlude of Spider-Man movies was kicking off in 2012, like the Dark Knight trilogy was ending, right? And also the first Avengers movie came out. Like, I'm just trying to imagine like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man being written and directed by like Chris Nolan, or even at the time he's like fallen off since then and is totally out of favor, but like Joss Whedon. I think that would have been like so much better for him.
Like, I think he was a great as Peter Parker. Like, I think
I thought he
like
was terrible as Peter Parker, but
really,
he was nothing like Peter. He was nothing like Peter Parker.
Well, I mean, I thought like
I've
always had issues,
like kind of asshole.
I've always had issues with Tobey Maguire just because of and we don't have to
He's
get into this whole debate here. No, Tobey Maguire's like 40. He was
he's too old, but so is Andrew Garfield. So,
but Andrew Garfield looks like a teenager at this point. Like, he could pass for it, but I think that Tobey Maguire always gets like benefit of the doubt because he was like the first one that we got, and so people just like automatically formed that connection to him.
I think it helps that his movies are a lot better too.
Yeah, like I would say that Spider-Man 1 and 2, not so much the third one, but both of those are better than the actual Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. But I would say that I like the Peter Parker from the Amazing Spider-Man. I like Andrew Garfield more than
Tobey Maguire. We can agree that we're better off than ever with Tom Holland.
Tom Holland is obviously above and beyond the best.
Yeah, he's like the definitive at this point. So I just, again, you're right on there. I think this could be really, I was not, crazy about Far From Home. I much preferred Homecoming. I thought Homecoming was great. Great, awesome Spider-Man movie. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am a little bit nervous. This news does not really do anything to offset any of that nervousness. I do like the aspect of it potentially hinting at going into a live action multiverse, whether it's not in this movie, but maybe down the line in the next few years. That's of course very exciting. I mean, I think there's so much money on the table and there's so much possibility there that it's just a matter of when. I think it's a matter of money. I think it's a matter of coordinating it and writing it and, getting old actors to come back and things like that, which is no easy feat, I'm sure. But You know, the last couple movies have been very successful. Last movie was $1 billion movie. Into the Spider-Verse was, you know, one of the most popular, very, very well received movies the last couple of years. I don't think there's anyone who dislikes that movie. And we're getting a sequel for that too. So the idea of the multiverse, the Spider-Verse, is very much in the public, you know, perception in a way that it was never before.
I'm curious if it happened because, like, obviously, like you said, Spider-Verse, the movie happened. So it's been a common idea. People have been talking about it. But I'm curious if they decided to almost move forward, like, after obviously with the DC universe, like Michael Keaton returning, like, if that positive reaction was kind of like, okay, maybe we, like, this is something that people want to see more of. So maybe
that's a good point, because I think
happened at the same time, kind of.
That could definitely be the case, because we also know that when DC announced that they were doing the Batman v Superman movie, that gave Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers the basically told them that it was okay from a public perception standpoint that they could have these heroes fight, because people were looking forward to BVS and excited about that. And then, of course, Civil War was announced and went into production around the same time. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think that's awesome. I'm excited about The Flash. I'm excited about Michael Keaton coming back. I'm excited about all the stuff they're doing there. So I'm certainly open to Sony going that route with Spider-Man. I think there's a lot of fun stuff there, and I'd be excited to see that.
Yep, and they've also got the one more thing. In like the Morbius trailer, they had there was a Spider-Man poster in the background, so it was like blending that side of Sony as well into some sort of Spider-Man connection. So, I mean, I feel like you said, there's so much money on the table. I feel like they should be able to just put aside their studio squabbles and be like, hey, there's plenty to go around here. Yeah. Let's just make it happen.
I think you're probably right. Right on.
One more final piece of news for our local folks, our North Carolina folks, before we move on. The Film Fest 919 slate was announced. Pretty impressive slate for all things considered, being middle of the pandemic without a real theater to go to, doing this all outdoors in Chapel Hill. First of all, One Night in Miami is opening. They're doing 2 opening nights, One Night in Miami, and then the documentary MLK FBI is opening for the second night. That'll be mid-October, and then it runs through the end of October. They're doing a 45th anniversary screening of the Rocky Horror Picture Show on Halloween to close things out. Nomadland, Ammonite also there, and special shout out to former co-host, Inside the Film Room co-founder Jake Lawler and his brother Connor Lawler, the co-writers and co-stars of Good Samaritans, a short film by the Lawler brothers, is getting its world premiere at Film Fest 919. Pretty impressive stuff there.
Yeah, no, so, you know, I think I was a little concerned. I think you were probably concerned too, that given the pandemic and all the restrictions and just having to adapt and do all this crazy, you know, coordinating the event, that they would have problems getting bigger films or like films that people know. And that is thankfully not the case. You know, One Night in Miami is huge right now, as well as Nomadland, and Ammonite is going to be really cool with Saoirse Ronan and Kate Winslet potentially in the Oscar conversation. And then to have, you know, one of our good friends and, you know, Inside the Film Room co-founders and his brother, you know, Jake Lawler and Connor Lawler, premiering their short film. I mean, that's just so, like, pretty surreal, because I met you at, you know, that's where this
Film
Fest 919,
right?
And then I met Jake through a Carolina film class, and so it feels right that this is like the way it's going down. I'm excited and proud of the whole situation.
Yeah, for sure. Very exciting. Hopefully we'll be up there for some festival coverage. We're going to try and get those big Hollywood guys are pretty hard to track down. So we're going to try and get Jake back on to talk about Good Samaritans and what to expect from that beforehand. But very exciting time for them and for us to be able to finally see that. The full schedule for the festival will be coming soon. They've announced the slate, but not the dates and times of all the movies. So that'll be coming soon over on their social and website. So be sure to stay tuned for that. You can get a festival pass or you can get individual tickets to different screenings. So keep an eye on that. But right now, I think the time has come. Johnny, let's get on the clock. It's time for the 2014 movie draft.
Oh, man. Okay. This is it. This is the main event.
This is it. The main event, like I mentioned at the top, we're taking a page out of the Ringers playbook, the Big Picture podcast. They've been doing this. It's great. Go check it out. Give it a listen. I'm not to take any shots at us, but, I'd have to say that Sean Fennessy has probably seen more movies than us. He probably knows a little bit more than us. But don't let me speak for you if you don't believe that's the case.
I have no idea who that is, so I will gladly say that I don't know. I don't think he knows more than I do about cinema, man. But I'm excited. It's a cool idea, so shout out to them for doing it first. We're doing our own little spin on it, changing it up a little bit to fit what we think is the best way. And do we need to do a coin flip to decide who goes first?
Yes, I have a virtual coin flip.
I have one as well. I'll let you handle it.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get some Zoom technical difficulties probably. But the way this is going down, this is not, as you listeners know, we've done top 5 lists or stuff like that. Jake and I have done drafts. Johnny and I never have. But the way it's going to work is we'll be picking 2014 releases from multiple genres. We'll break it down in a second, but there's no repeats. It's like the NFL draft. Once something is picked, it's gone. You can't then have the other person pick it. So it's going to get a little competitive here. So that's why this coin flip matters.
I'm actually kind of nervous now.
That's why this matters. So this
is real. Oh, there we go.
The screen share is pulled up. Johnny, I'm going to click it. Heads or tails? What's your call?
I'm calling tails. Tails never fails. Yes, sir. Let's go.
If you can't tell at home, tails won.
Hey.
Johnny won. So,
bro, when I used to have to do in high school, I was got a two-man horn here from when I was 17. I was the varsity captain on the soccer team. And so we would always have to go up for the coin toss, and me and the other captains would argue about what to pick. So that was fun to kind of reminisce over that.
You just relived the glory days right there on this podcast.
Right on. Okay, so I'm up. I'm ready. Drama number one.
So
right?
here, well, I guess since you got first pick, you can pick whatever category you want to start from.
Oh.
If you have a more prestigious one that you want to make sure you get the first pick for. But after that, we'll alternate back and forth. I'll take first pick for the next category. Let me give a quick rundown. We've got drama, comedy, horror/thriller, blockbuster, which can be any sort of superhero movie, big comedy franchise, whatever you want, animated, sequel, prequel, spinoff, so any sort of continuation or existing property, and then wild card, which can be, you can throw anything in there, any genre, whatever you want, an extra pick to just round out your draft. So those are the categories here. Johnny, get us started. Where are you taking us?
I'm taking it from the top. This is the only category I was really worried about. So my number one pick in the 2014, even though we're doing it in 2020, movie draft for Inside the Film Room is Whiplash.
No!
From director-writer Damien Chazelle. I mean, this was, I've said this before on the podcast probably, but top 5 movies of the last decade. Like a movie I saw just as high school was about to come to an end for me, and it just shook me, blew my mind, flipped my world upside down. It really made me realize I think I loved movies more than I even realized I did. And it was kind of one of the first smaller, newer indie movies that I got to see in a theater that I knew nothing about, didn't know the people that were in it. It wasn't from an existing property or some superhero movie or anything like that. And I was just in love, and still one of my favorite movies of all time. J.K. Simmons is incredible. Miles Teller is incredible. And that kind of kicked off my love of Damien Chazelle as well, because I think this is a 5 out of 5. La La Land's a 5 out of 5. and First Man's a 5 out of 5, and I can't wait to see what else we get from him. So, Whiplash love all the way.
As you could tell from my reaction, I am in the same boat there. That was going to be my pick. I'm having to do some pivoting on my draft board. I don't want to get accused of category fraud. I think everything will still play out, but just
I'm ready to smash the buzzer.
A little shake up there. But my pick. So now I will get to pick here. Let me just clarify. I will pick here, and then I can take us to whatever category I would like. Is that correct?
Yeah.
To make my next pick. So
yeah,
I'm going to go for drama here.
Ooh.
Gone Girl.
Good one. Okay.
So this was originally going to be my horror thriller pick.
That would make sense.
But because of that, because of your taking Whiplash, I'm having to adjust that to drama, and I'll pull up another horror thriller. But
oh man,
Gone Girl, great movie. We talked about it. I don't know. We didn't talk about it, but we talked about David Fincher on last week's episode about the detective movies. Not as much a detective movie here, but just a murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Absolutely great movie. I think this movie, it's very long, but I still feel like it's extremely rewatchable. I want to say I've watched it twice this year already. Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, all-time movie villain here. Amy Dunn. She's so terrifying.
She should have won. She should have won the Oscar. We just need to stay that.
Yeah, I mean it's a shame, but such a good movie. This was kind of like right up my alley, as we went into last week, really in depth about like the whole true crime, murder mystery, detective, thriller. That kind of whole vibe is like that's my favorite genre of movie, I would say. So a David Fincher movie of this caliber is just, it had to be picked somewhere in this board. So it's going in drama for me.
All right. Good pick. I dig it.
So now I will take us to the horror thriller to make sure, because I think I think you were going to pick one of these. If I had a couple on mine that I was worried about you picking.
I bet you're wrong.
So I'm going to pick this one before you could take it, potentially. And that is Nightcrawler.
Oh, that was not
horror thriller.
Not my pick. I'm glad. That's a great movie.
Obviously more of the thriller than horror. Although there's plenty of scary stuff here, but another kind of like crime drama as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Gyllenhaal, great act. Like we were talking about Spider-Man earlier. Last week we were talking about Prisoners. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the greats for me, I would say. He's one of those people where, he's in a movie, I'll definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So this obviously being about the crime underworld, the night crawlers who are trying to rush to crime scenes to get their footage and freelance it off to somebody. But then what happens when they start creating the crime so that they can have their own budget? But
yeah,
it's one of those like really weird, twisty movies that just I don't want to say too much about it and end up ruining anything, because it's one that I really went into sort of blind. Yeah, like, I didn't catch this in theaters. I watched it a couple of years later, but this was I'm looking. It came out on Halloween 2014, and it's definitely spooky enough.
Yeah,
a Halloween release.
I'm glad you pointed that out. It's the one addendum I'll make to this is that I remember vividly seeing this on Halloween night 2014, going to the theater after handing out candy and not knowing really what to expect, but I was excited for it, and I was very happy and impressed, and definitely an amazing performance from Jake Gyllenhaal. And director Dan Gilroy just hasn't returned to the heights of this movie, and he may, if this next one doesn't go so well, I think we might have to start considering him a one-hit wonder, because it's all been downhill from here. But great movie. I need to revisit it at some point. I haven't seen it in a long time. Good pick though. My choice for horror thriller is a horror comedy, and that is What We Do in the Shadows from Taika Waititi.
Haven't seen it, but I know this is one I'm
you gotta watch it this month.
I'm getting caught in the in a lie here, because I said this to Jake. This is on Jake's like top 5 comedies of the decade, and I was like, I'll go watch it, and I have not watched it yet. So,
dude, this is the perfect time to watch it. You gotta watch it. Oh, it's so good. It's just so funny. It's a very small, low budget, written by Taika Waititi, Oscar-winning writer, who everyone knows from the Thor Ragnarok now, and of course Jojo Rabbit and Jermaine Clement, who they worked together in New Zealand a lot, before Taika came to Hollywood, really. And this movie was big for them. It's just a genius mockumentary about anything and everything you could think about with regards to vampires and pop culture. They have references to Nosferatu and Twilight, and it's almost like The Office in a lot of ways. It has that mockumentary style. It's almost like if you've seen The Real World on MTV, because these guys, they all live in the same house and they kind of have to make it work. It's just really, really funny. Definitely my favorite Taika movie, and I know that's kind of wild because I know people love Thor. I know people love Thor Ragnarok, and I know a lot of people love Jojo Rabbit as well, even though it's a little bit more divisive. But this one is one I go back to. I've seen it, I think, maybe 4 times now. And I also love showing it to people who don't know what to expect, because they always love it, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. So it's a little bit of a cheat, but it is by definition a horror comedy. So that and it has plenty. That's the fun part too, is that it plays with a lot of horror tropes. And I actually did, when I was taking a genre class in film at Carolina. Before I graduated, the class was horror, dark comedy, and science fiction. And actually, I got a shout out to Rick Warner, Professor Josh Martin, who also works for the site, will tell you that he's amazing. But I recommended it to him just kind of offhand. I was like, hey, I think this is would fit perfectly within the curriculum. I think you would really like it. So, just check it out. And he loved it so much, he added it to the syllabus, and we did watch it as a class. So definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. Can't recommend it enough.
I'll have to do that. I don't want to make any promises and get caught again. But I mean, like you said, now is the time to watch it. So I respect the pick. I will try my best. But Johnny, steer us. Where are we going next? What category are you taking us to?
That's a good question. I think I want to say my best bet is probably going to be animated.
No.
I know you kind of showed your hand, because before we started recording, Zach said, hey, this is kind of a limited category.
I have one animated movie. There are some, obviously more than one came out, but one that I have seen and I respect from this year. So if you pick it, I'm screwed.
Well, it's 2014, ladies and gentlemen. And otherwise, we all know what I'm going to pick for animated movie of the year. And that was the Lego Movie.
No!
From directors Phil Lord, Christopher Miller. Just a movie, when it was announced, back even in high school, when I was somewhat tuned into movie news, I was like, a Lego movie? A Lego movie? Really? What are you going to do for that? And boy, was I so happy to be wrong. This is a movie that I didn't even bother going to see in theaters, because I underestimated it. Finally caught it.
You're fake. I saw it in theaters. I should get this on my trip.
I caught it at home months later, and I was so pleasantly surprised. I loved it so much. I haven't seen it in quite a while. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite movies or one of the best movies I've ever seen. But I think just the expectation and how it blew people away in a way that I don't think the sequel replicated, and I don't even think the Lego Batman movie replicated, despite, I haven't even actually seen the sequel, just because I know Phil.
Fake.
Christopher Miller and Phil Lord were not the directors of that, of course, and I don't think they even wrote it. So it was almost like a lightning in the bottle situation with this one, and I can see why. The animation is stellar. It's done in a very fun way, and that's almost lifelike in the way they use the blocks. It's just so much fun and very clever, very witty, and the way they incorporate different IPs into the Lego world. Just really, really neat movie and a fan favorite for a reason.
Well, I said I'd be screwed. And I am. That was my one pick off the board. See, there are some other movies here. Am I like? I'm gonna have to pick one that I have not seen.
Hey,
because
just do
of
it. That
this.
way you can advocate for something good.
Right.
Maybe.
So like there's some movies here. I was originally just going to make a joke pick of as I was Googling animated movies 2014, I found Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery, which is Scooby-Doo and John Cena. John Cena is actually in this. So I was going to make that pick just to be as random as possible, but I want to win when we post this graphic. I want to win the Twitter poll.
Man.
So I need to have taste on here. So I'm going to go with Paddington. Do you count?
Oh,
that
is not that.
Does that count? No.
No, it's not even. He's animated.
World.
He's in a real world, bro.
It's listed as 2014 popular animated movies
on Google. How have you
Google.
not seen, or you're not even advocating for Big Hero 6?
That was also I knew Paddington is like a cult.
How to Train Your Dragon 2.
I thought I could get the Paddington hive up on
Bro,
Twitter.
I guarantee. Hey, you can use it if you want, but I guarantee if you do, people are going to be on you about it.
But I used to watch the animated show on HBO on Sunday mornings, like the cartoon.
It originated from an animated show.
Yeah, he was the Paddington the bear from Peru who loves marmalade.
Wow.
But I like Big Hero 6, Rio 2, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Let's see what else. Book of Life, The Box Trolls. Like these are all some of the ones that come up when I search this.
When Marnie was there from Hayao Miyazaki.
I haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon. I haven't seen any of the How to Train Your
Dragon. I haven't seen
movies.
Those either. I feel like a failure in that regard.
But I guess if you're claiming that there's too much live action in Paddington,
I'm buzzing for category fraud on this.
Okay, I'll go Big Hero 6 then. You can't go wrong with a Disney animated movie when it comes to fandom. So yeah, Big Hero 6 right. It is. Sorry, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo WrestleMania.
Oh, John Cena is not going to be too happy about that.
Well, I don't want to get on his bad side.
He'll show up as Peacemaker. He's just gonna like blow your head off.
Oh right.
Okay, but you might be bummed out about this category, but the bright side is that you can now pick the next one and get the upper
That is
hand,
true.
perhaps.
That is true. So we've got comedy, blockbuster, sequel, prequel, spinoff, and wild card left. Obviously, it would be dumb to pick wild card because that can be literally anything. So yeah. I can save my picks until that's the last one. So I think. I don't really know if we'll have much overlap in this next in any of the categories left. So I think I'm going to go sequel, prequel, spinoff, just in case. And I'm going to go with Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Ooh, good one. Good one.
This is one of the
not my pick, but it's good.
Okay. I think I know what your blockbuster is going to be, but it was not my pick. So I'm not worried about it. But sequel, prequel, spinoff is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
That is the Winter Soldier for me. Captain America sequel.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best Marvel movies that there is. Very different from a lot of the other ones. It's not this big, grand, interconnected anything. It's not super like fantastical or out of like outer space related or anything like that. It's a very like political thriller, like investigate again, getting back to this investigation, but it's like very like a gritty crime drama. Just Cap and Black Widow doing their thing. Winter Soldier obviously involved. It's a very good Marvel movie. I would say it's top 5 for me, maybe top 4. I'm not gonna guarantee top 3 though. But I think, especially because I'm not crazy about Captain America in general as a character.
No, I'm not either.
I don't think that he's not my favorite Avenger. He's not one of my top 5 favorite Avengers. But I think this movie is very good. Let's see. That's another discussion. We'll save that for later. But
no, I agree with you though. In most of the things you just said. One of the things that makes it stick out is the fact it's just not goofy. It's just not that goofy.
Right. It doesn't have like the Marvel zingers, the like one-liners really.
It takes itself pretty seriously. It has respect for kind of the the drama and the tragedy of the story, especially with how it ties into the original Captain America movie. It's one of those sequels that improves on the original in every regard. I think the action's better, the way the Russo brothers kind of came on board and just they didn't just show up to have a say on this one movie. I mean, they took over because of this movie. It was such a success, and it was so well received by the fans and the critics. It set them up for Captain America: Civil War, and then of course Infinity War and Endgame. So it's pretty wild how one movie can elevate you to direct the biggest movies of all time in such a short span of time too. My sequel is going to be Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I figured that might be it.
This is, oh man. Anyone who knows me knows I am a huge advocate for these Apes movies. One of the best trilogies ever made. You cannot, it's not even up for debate. Certainly the best trilogy of the last decade. It really does get better with each installment, I think. But this one in particular, while War of the Planet of the Apes, I think, is objectively better, I think a lot of the formal elements are better. I think that Matt Reeves was just really in his bag with that one. I think that was a big part of why he got the Batman gig. This one was just, I've seen it so many times. I saw it twice in theaters. I've probably seen it 6 times now, or upwards of that. Because a lot of times I, of course, go back and watch the whole trilogy. But this one is probably the most rewatchable, maybe the most entertaining. It has a good amount of action. It has a lot of characters that you can follow. Koba's a fantastic antagonist and a good foil to Caesar. Toby Kebbell as Koba gives a really, really great performance. One of the few in the trilogy that I think matches what Andy Serkis is doing. So it has this really neat Shakespearean tragedy element to it with betrayal, and also it plays with kind of the old West movies where you have white people kind of coming to a frontier land or coming to a place where they're not welcome, and they are there's drama and conflict that comes out of that, and of course the war that erupts. And it feels so avoidable, and that's kind of why it is so sad at the end when it happens anyway, and that leads us into War for the Planet of the Apes. So yeah, big fan of that movie, big fan of the trilogy, but that's certainly one of the shining points of it.
I was considering that, but then I felt, first of all, I knew your love of it, and I figured
oh, you had mercy.
I would be cheating because I've seen it, but I've only seen it once. So not literally cheating, but I feel like I would be cheating you of that satisfaction of being such a big fan of me picking it after having only seen it once. So I felt like that would be dishonest of me. So
hey, respect.
But from what I remember, it was very good, great movie. I respect your pick. I mean, the fact that it was even a consideration for me after only having seen it once shows that it was good, that it stuck with me. So, again, Captain America for me, Winter Soldier, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for you. Next category, unless you have more. I know you could go on and on about Planet of the Apes.
No, just the last thing I think similar to with the Winter Soldier, this one I think improved in a lot of ways, in almost every way maybe, over the original, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And in the same way that the Russos had their blockbuster career launched from the Winter Soldier, Matt Reeves, who had never done a film of this scale before. I mean, he had done Cloverfield, which is a smaller budget. He had done Let Me In, which is the darker kind of horror vampire movie. This was his first blockbuster, and of course it got him the War for the Planet of the Apes gig. And then, of course, that he goes from this one Planet of the Apes movie to getting an entire Batman trilogy basically handed to him. So it's fun to see how these things kind of play out over years and what they lead to, because I think the Batman for Matt Reeves and where they're going with that and Robert Pattinson is something that is maybe the most exciting thing that people are looking forward to as far as superhero stuff and pop culture right now. So, moving into the next category, we have comedy, and we have blockbuster, and we have wild card. Again, wild card will surely be left to last. I think I'm going to go with comedy. And I'm not really worried about us overlapping in either of these, to be honest with you. My comedy is going to be a little maybe unconventional because it's more of a dramedy. It's not your typical studio fare in that regard.
I'm definitely safe then.
I knew that you were going to go for something more in that vein. So, but my pick is the Grand Budapest Hotel from Wes Anderson.
One that I've only seen once, so I felt dishonest if I were to put it on here. So
it's not when you think of it, it's a hilarious movie. It's just so funny. It's Wes Anderson's best by a mile, in my opinion. It's his true only masterpiece. Ray Fiennes gives a fantastic lead performance. He should have been nominated for an Oscar. He probably should have won the Oscar over Eddie Redmayne. And it's beautiful. It's one of the most stunning movies from a production standpoint. The costumes, the hair and the makeup, cinematography, and the aspect ratios. It's just really glorious. I have it on Blu-ray. I plan on getting the Criterion Collection edition soon. Certainly one of my favorites the last decade, and it's a nice, more, I think, overall well-received and kind of more mainstream and accepted Wes Anderson movie than what you typically think about with some of his other stuff or maybe his earlier work. So I think this movie in particular is a big reason why a lot of people are excited for The French Dispatch, because it seems to be more in that vein with this huge ensemble cast and the style and everything. So big fan of this movie.
I'm starting to think that you're going to win Jake over in the poll because Grand Budapest,
love that movie.
Grand Budapest he watched recently and it became like his top of the decade. And What We Do in the Shadows was also on the top comedy list. So you're like playing up his alley right here. So if he throws his support behind you, it might be game over for me.
And the last thing I'll say is what I love about this in particular, not just as a comedy, but as a movie in general, is that there's like legitimate drama too. Like there's emotional basis. Like I don't think I've ever teared up or like cried while watching this movie, but it is kind of heartbreaking, and especially where things kind of play out, and it's melancholy, but I don't know. It's just it's like a storybook tale more than any other Wes Anderson movie for me, even though he kind of goes for that style a lot. So that's my fave.
Well, changing topics entirely, I am taking it
I have no idea what you're about
direction. I considered putting this one for sequel, so it is a sequel.
I knew it.
But going off of what you were talking about with your sequels that elevate on the first film, this was an honorable mention last week. It made the cut this week. My comedy draft pick is 22 Jump Street. I love this movie. Have you seen it?
I have just the one time in theaters. I've seen the original many more times.
See, I wasn't crazy about 21 Jump Street, but I loved 22 Jump Street. I thought it was hysterical. I touched on it last week, but just the added aspect of like going to college, the whole storyline with Jimmy Tatro and the football team and the finding the drug dealer. I think there's so many quotable moments from this movie, just like the absolute ridiculousness of it. I think, of course, the iconic like Ice Cube scene where he finds out that Channing Tatum finds out that Jonah Hill hooked up with his daughter. There are so many great moments here, and it's just like the scale of it too, to go from like the high school film about prom to going about this it's at college, and then there's the whole spring break aspect of it, going away to this like tropical beach vacation destination. They really like escalated things, and I think one of the best parts of it is the credits of it, where it goes 23 Jump Street, 24, like all the way to like 50, and I think that was hysterical too. So I almost picked Neighbors here, another good comedy from
that was the other one
2014.
You might,
but I ended up going with 22 Jump Street. So I'm glad that we didn't have any overlap there. I'm going to take it to Blockbuster because, again, as we said, wild card, last pick. So I'm 99.9% sure what you're going to pick. I could pick it. Right. I could pick it, but I'm not rude. and I already have one MCU movie on my resume. So,
Oh, I see.
am I on the right track there for you?
You're not. No, you're not picking what I have. I think I know what you're picking though.
No, I mean, am I picking? Oh, whatever. We'll find out. We don't want to get too confused on here. I think you're picking an MCU movie.
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, wow. Okay. I am picking. Then I guess I could have picked that. But I am picking John Wick for my blockbuster.
Whoa. That was not my pick, but I am shocked. Wow.
That's not what I thought you were going to pick. I thought you were going to pick Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, you're happily wrong then.
I know you're a Guardians stan.
I love those movies for sure.
But I'm going John Wick. This was one I did not see it in 2014. I saw it in 2019, I guess, because I watched it prior to the third one coming out. I watched the first two to get caught up. But I think this is just like, I guess a connection you could make is like how Die Hard changed like the action movie back in the day. This is kind of like changing just like a whole new way of like action movies and like the practical stunts and like the intensity of it and just like the absurd amount of action. Like I think that Keanu was able to do that in these movies and then obviously continue that on into a successful trilogy, and we're getting 4 and 5 coming, and like kind of revived him as a cult figure, as a the Keanu Renaissance, to bring him back into the public spotlight. And it's not as much like right now, but I guess in 2019, like he was in John Wick, he was in Always Be My Maybe, he has that video game that's still coming out, he's got Bill and Ted 3, like he's like back in Matrix 4, like
hashtag Keanu-sans.
This is exactly Keanu-sans. But I think the John Wick, I don't know the exact numbers of like what this did at the box office. I don't know if they really had that intention of it being a smash blockbuster success and leading to a trilogy when they made it, because I know Jake from his story, like he didn't really know what to expect going in, saw it, loved it, freaked out. Like me, I didn't even see it until 5 years later. So yeah, but John Wick, blockbuster,
awesome
great draft
movie.
pick, Zach.
Great draft pick. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I didn't expect it, so I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. It did, yeah. It only cost like $20-ish million to make, and it ended up making almost 90. So, certainly got the bang for their buck, no pun intended. And yeah, sparked a whole, Keanu-sans and that franchise just erupting. And I do feel that they've gotten, they've kind of got them falling off a little bit. I was not super keen on the third one, and when the third one ended, I was just like, I really don't need to see any more of these. But I do love the first one, and I do really like the second one as well. But my pick, I guess you really didn't see this coming, was and is Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Oh yeah, duh.
I mean, this movie, this is a really fun experience because I did see this opening night. I mean, I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, ever since The Dark Knight came out, and saw Batman Begins in theaters, saw The Dark Knight in theaters, saw Inception and The Dark Knight Rises, and didn't really know what to expect from this one. I didn't follow it super closely. I wasn't as into film at the time. So I went in fairly blind, me and my brother and my best friend. We had our hometown was opening a brand new AMC theater, and it was the first IMAX, or like big screen, big sound that was anywhere near us. And it was opening right at the same time as Interstellar. So it was like this huge draw, and everyone was really excited. It was like kind of a big deal. But it wasn't opening until the Friday night. And so, of course, movies come out on Thursday night at this point. So we went into our 5 minutes down the road, which isn't nearly as big or as nice, and we saw it and then went back to the IMAX the next night. And I really kind of was blown away, but also very confused about what I had experienced when I saw it the first time. And then I saw it the very next night in IMAX, blew my eardrums out, loved every second of it. Definitely cried at least once. And then every time I've seen it since then over the years, I love it more every time. I don't know how to explain it. The problems that I have with it, like, kind of fade more and more away, and the things I do love about it stand out more. And there's I feel like there's more emotion in it every time I see it. You know, the scene, of course, everyone knows, and I think
Murph.
when people get choked up, it's him watching the video recordings, of course, of his children as they're growing up, and Murph refuses to see him and to record anything for him. And I mean, I turned into a baby during that movie. And even when oh my God, the score, Hans Zimmer, some of his best work ever, top 5 score for him. Absurd that he didn't win. It only won for visual effects at the Oscars, which is still pretty good. But I mean, the sound in this movie and the cinematography, Van Hoytema, his work with Christopher Nolan, this is the first time they collaborated. And then, of course, they've gone on to do Dunkirk and Tenet. But yeah, just a wonderful sci-fi odyssey through space. And I'm just a sucker for that kind of movie. So that is my blockbuster pick.
So this is gonna make you very upset, I feel like.
Oh, brother,
But
what's that mean?
I have seen Interstellar. I've only seen it once, and I saw it on.
Brother.
I saw it. This is the worst
on your
part.
phone or on a plane?
On a plane.
Oh God, was this for football or something?
No, this is back like I guess
When it came
in
out,
2014, 2015, whenever. 2015. But I saw it on a plane ride, and I enjoyed it, but I need to probably revisit it into a screen that's bigger than the size of a phone. Maybe be able to experience it a little better. That's one that obviously when you search 2014 movies to come up with this list, it's one of the first ones to pop up. But again, another one that I was like, I feel dishonest if I pick this, even though I know it is like objectively one of the best, most popular, biggest movies of that year.
Yeah, it's the if you go on Letterboxd, you go year by year, it's the number 1 most popular. Number 2 is Grand Budapest Hotel. Number 3 is Whiplash. So,
are you trying to make a case for yourself over there or something?
Damn, it's almost like Johnny knows what he's doing.
It sounds to me like Johnny didn't get creative. He just, pulled up Letterboxd and said, okay.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
This is getting competitive. We're getting fiery.
As I look over at my shelf with my Whiplash and Interstellar Blu-rays sitting over there in Grand Budapest Hotel. Hey.
Whatever. Take us to Wild Card.
They won Ben.
Round out your draft class here.
Wild Card round, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. This was the toughest one for me, I think. The other ones almost kind of had obvious choices, but there, with a wild card, you could fit anything. And I did have kind of backup plans if I had to switch something to wild card and fill in a different category. But ultimately, I decided on a movie that I've seen many times, probably 4 or 5 times now. And it's, again, not actually one that I didn't see when it first came out. And you'll understand I was not the only one that let this movie fail at the box office, but it has become a favorite. It is a movie that I actually had a dream about last night for no reason whatsoever.
It's a sign.
It's a sign. And I wasn't sure if again, this is kind of what motivated me to pick it because it was very close up until just now. And that is Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, the Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt action sci-fi time travel vehicle that it didn't bomb, I don't think, flat out, but it just underperformed and didn't earn a sequel right away. They've kind of had to been planning it out and negotiating it for years now, and it's still supposedly in the works. And I would love to see that, and I hope we get to see that. But this is just awesome production design, the suits, the practical suits, and filming with all this dirt and on this kind of beach amphibious landing situation. For anyone who hasn't seen it, first off, go see the damn movie. You rent it on what you got to do, or get the Blu-ray or something. Go into it knowing as little as possible. I'm not going to go into a ton of details, but I love it because it's funny. There's so much good humor in this movie. And they pull it off in so many great situations. And not only that, but similar to, I talked about Grand Budapest Hotel, but the fact that they balance it perfectly with drama and emotion in a way that I kind of complain about sometimes with other big movies, whether that's, maybe something like Marvel or Star Wars, but they knock it out of the park here. And the action sequences are very well choreographed, and the VFX are great. And The stuff they do with the aliens and the designs there. It's just really, really good. And Tom Cruise, I'm a sucker for Tom Cruise. I'm a huge fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. And outside of those, in the last 20-ish, 15-ish years, as far as action, I mean, this is really the only thing outside of that franchise that I love and am a fan of for him. So definitely check out. Emily Blunt, of course, also is the female lead, and she does awesome work with her action, and her rapport with Tom Cruise was really strong. So definitely recommend it.
I can respect it. I have not seen it still, as we mentioned at the when we talked about Palm Springs,
yes,
as the sort of repeat universe. Have not caught it since then, but I have a complaint, not a complaint, a petition for my pick. This is a wild card, and I'm pulling a true wild card because I had one that I was going to do, but then I wasn't sure on the judgment of the year. But now I've pulled up the Letterboxd list that you were referencing, and I see that it is on there.
Oh no!
So I will try it, but if you overrule it, I have a backup. And that is Ex Machina. What's the ruling there?
Oh yeah, I gotta rule that out because
it came out in December, right?
My main factor is that it won at as a movie that it won an Oscar for visual effects as a movie that was released in 2015. It beat Fury Road.
Okay. I figured I'd throw it out there just in case. So
I also did look at that movie though. I was confused about the dating as well, and I eventually ruled it out for myself.
Back up, coming in hot, literally off the grill.
Oh my god,
Chef. Have you seen Chef?
I have not. I've heard good things about it.
Great movie, Chef, with Jon Favreau. This movie, don't watch it if you're hungry.
Oh no.
Even if you aren't hungry, it'll make you hungry. Because
hungry
this movie is so good. It's very simple. It's about this guy who, Jon Favreau, is a chef. He gets kind of roasted by a food critic, leaves his restaurant, and then opens up this food truck with his son and falls back in love with cooking. There's an iconic scene where he makes a grilled cheese, and it's the best looking sandwich you'll ever see on a TV show, in a movie. It's just go look that up on YouTube. If you're listening to this, Johnny, your homework is to watch it after we hang up on this call. But I mean, it's Jon Favreau, John Leguizamo's in there too, Bobby Cannavale, Scarlett Johansson, Dustin Hoffman, Sofia Vergara.
Wow.
It's pretty. Robert Downey Jr.
Wow.
But
and he must have done that as a favor on a weekend or something.
Right, but it also inspired I don't know if you've seen on Netflix, The Chef Show that Jon Favreau does.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've seen.
It was literally inspired by this, and so he gets back together with the crew who helped come up with all of the dishes for.
Oh man, dope.
For this movie, and he recreates stuff and it does interviews with different people, goes to different celebrities. But this movie's great. I mean, on top of just being visually appealing with delicious food, it's got good comedy, good drama, a good emotional punch to it. His relationship, he's got a tough relationship with his son, and they kind of figure things out through their love of food. But really good movie. It could go in comedy. It could go in drama. It could go, I guess, in wild card. That's where it's going for me. But but I really enjoyed it. I think it was kind of under the radar, but definitely would recommend this.
Yeah, no, I've heard really good things. My brother's actually recommended that movie on several occasions, so I believe it. I do need to check it out. I think, is it on Netflix? Is it available? Anyway, I swear I was just scrolling through maybe and saw it. Maybe that was the TV show that he's doing. But
I know I personally I own it on Amazon Prime. But
okay.
let me check real quick. We'll pull it up. It is available on nothing. IMDb TV. If you want to have that service.
Oh man. Well, I'll check it out eventually for sure. If nothing else, I'll check out the grilled cheese.
The grilled cheese scene. Yes.
No, I'm getting hungry just hearing about this. So I'm definitely, as soon as we get off, I will go eat and watch that simultaneously. So
dude, and that's actually I believe it's the first episode of the spin-off Netflix show. They teach you how to make that grilled cheese and recreate it. So maybe watch the scene first, then go watch the episode and make yourself a grilled cheese. But okay, before we wrap things up, let's run back through it real quick. I'll give my list, you give yours, so people at home can decide. Let us know on social media, comment on our posts, and
Harass
let
us.
let us know who won. So drama for Zach is Gone Girl, Johnny is Whiplash. Comedy, Zach, 22 Jump Street, Johnny, Grand Budapest Hotel. Horror thriller for Zach is Nightcrawler, Johnny is What We Do in the Shadows. Blockbuster for Zach is John Wick, Johnny has Interstellar. Animated, Zach, Big Hero 6, Johnny, The Lego Movie. Sequels, Zach, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Johnny, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Wild card, Zach, Chef, Johnny, Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, I think there's a clear winner here. We all know who it is. I don't think I need to say it. I think people can decide.
Hey man, I could have taken some of that load. You really rattled that all off. Are you okay?
I wasn't planning on it, but then it just kind of happened, and I didn't want to stop. So
Hey, respect.
Well, that's it. That is the episode today, the 2014 movie draft, reliving one of the best years of this past decade.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for listening. Thanks for tuning in week and week out. We really appreciate it.
I had an absolute blast coming up with that list and doing that with you, Zach. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as much as I did. And we definitely, I think, need to check this format out again in the future because this is a fun
As we continue
game.
Through our drought, we will definitely explore another year.
But as usual, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Give us a like on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit the bell. And all of those can be found at Inside Film Room. And, of course, as this episode goes live and we get those up on social media for you with our draft results, be sure to vote and weigh in so we can know who the GOAT actually is.
Who's the best general manager of movie years?
Yeah.
Like Johnny said, do all that following. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Google, YouTube. Wherever you listen, we are there. And be sure to tune in next week. We might be doing a full Bly Manor podcast. We might be doing another movie draft. We're not really sure yet because there's still no movies coming out. But
question mark?
We just got to get to the week after that. We'll have Chicago 7. The week after that, we'll have all 3 of those movies we talked about. So one more week until we get some fresh content coming. But until then, we'll talk to you next time.